Oh, hey guys. So, another 4 years of listening to the Obama droid hammer out his monotonous speeches every time there's a disaster. Holy shit. I can't believe how much the world is split into, especially the United States. On one side, you got people dancing in the streets out there with their iPhones, getting in every shot of this wonderful celebration. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. What's the slogan now? Forward? Forward to what? Forward march? And they always turn down all the black ops and stuff like that just before the election, try to make themselves look like squeaky clean pieces of muck, like Fast and Furious. Kept a low profile with the old gun control and all that stuff, because that sure brought a lot of stuff out of the closet, a lot of skeletons out of the closet. And 8 hours later he's already resuming talks with the ATT global, handgun ban or whatever it is. They're angling toward. And then on the other side, you have people saying they're moving out of Dodge, moving out of the country, going up to Canada, safer pastures, because the jackboots are about to come slamming down to the ground in America. And by the looks of it, the police are doing, how trigger happy they are and taser happy. America's basically become a police state, and they certainly don't train the police the way they used to. And they've always been pretty hardcore in America, that's for sure. No doubt about it. They get away with so much there. It's absolutely boggles my mind what they get away with. Here too, the same thing. But anyways, on the other side of the fence, you have all these doomtards, predicting all matter of destruction for us in the next 4 years, and Obama's gonna slam the final nails home on the coffin for America, and America's finished, and Obama's the last president. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't, a lot of people, say Alex Jones or whatever is, fear-mongering, and I'm sure he is. It's kind of like an industry for InfoWars. It's like, what's their motto? The worst, preach the worst case scenario. But maybe it's good, Maybe a lot of people need to wake up, because the shoe's about to drop on something, the economy. Seems to me the governments of the world over the last 2 years, especially with Occupy Wall Street and all that, have been basically promoting anarchy, class war, and in other sectors, in other areas, race war, and all matter of divide and conquer. People at each other's throats. That's the way they love it, and that's the way it is all the way down the board. People are it's like, it's the total, it's our culture now to be at each other's throats. Be interesting to see what would happen if the power grid really did go down, like in New Jersey. People are pretty desperate. Of course, they're meaner to each other, but there's a lot of nice people too. There's a lot of good things, because humans are, they're essentially good. and this whole thing should be different than it is now, the way we live in this world. But we're being run by people that encourage us to be at each other's throats. And so that's the way we do business. So when business is closed and the carnival's closed and power grid's down, and it's just like the movies, The Road or whatever. I just watched a series. I didn't finish, but I can't wait for the other part of it. But it was there's 6 parts out right now called Revolution, and that's all about that, And it's interesting in this series how they kind of demonize the militias. Like the militias have taken over the United States, and they're enforcing, for one thing, gun control, and they're fighting against the rebels, and the rebels' flag is the Stars and Stripes, of course, and if they're caught with guns, they're shot on the spot. And then Monroe, that's like the head of the militia, and their symbol is an M. There's that 13 again. Yeah, if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, all you have to do is watch some of the movies that are coming out, especially about like stuff like a revolution or doomsday or power grids going down or the earth stopping in its tracks, stop revolving, all this good stuff that engenders a lot of talk about doomsday. Then on the other hand, there might not be no doomsday, and they'll just keep us on the edge of our seat for the entire time, for the entire ride, while they tighten up the screws and make it tougher and tougher to travel. That's what they're doing, and they're making it so people live in the city more. They're kind of like destroying the suburbs, and they're slowly like going to pack more and more people into the city. I've heard it said that they're like 60 or 70% of the Canadian population lives in cities. The rest of the country is barren. And this is the United Nations that Obama works for or is programmed for. Assuming that maybe he's a total full-on transhuman, and they just like put download subroutines into his mainframe. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they had things like that going. I tend to think the Obama droid isn't the a unique innovation in cybernetics. But then on the other hand, say there's not a doomsday, what they'll do is they'll completely tighten the screws on our society, herd us into cities, make their wildlands project a reality where you can't go into the wilderness. They'll have some way of monitoring any human activity whatsoever in the wilderness and zeroing in on you. You'll probably light up like a Christmas tree from one of their infrared monitors up there in space. I mean, they have awesome technology, and we're going to see some of it come up, Sometimes we do see it, but they're going to come out with some awesome technology. And, there's a lot of talk of World War III, but, a lot of us know that all these nations are on the same team. America propped up communist Russia from the ashes of World War II. And then they went ahead and turned China into a communist nation. And while they were doing that, they started turning all of our children's toys into slave labor products. They hit our kids first and worked their way up the line. And sometimes they have these TV programs with a guy like Mikaya Kaku. I can't remember his name exactly. He's from Japan. He's like David Suzuki, only on steroids. And he's talking about our future city, you know, with towers like 3 miles high, and he doesn't talk about the people, you know, the pros like us who are going to be living in little boxes stacked up in a warehouse. You know, you'll climb up to your box and it'll be enough to sit up in your bed that'll just fit in the box, with a little cubby hole for storing your socks. And then if you ever want to get married, you're going to have to beg the government to get married. Well, like you do now, you have to get a marriage license. And, you know, pretty soon after that, it'll be a license to have a child and forced vaccinations. And they'll get the whole thing into a situation where everybody's programmed like in 1984, you know. And this will take about 20 years, and all through that time we'll be talking about doomsday, and they'll be doing this